Hello, and welcome to another night of racing in the Degenerate Race League. We are back for another round of ACC, round 7 to be specific, at Paul Ricard. Before we get started, as always, a big thank you to our Patreon subscribers. On the screen here, you see the wonderful people that support the Degenerate Race League by contributing to help support the costs of running this wonderful league. So a big thank you to those who subscribe on Patreon, here on Twitch, or even do a donation via PayPal. You're all appreciated. Thank you so much. Well, let's have a look at our schedule. We're getting close to the end of Season 7 here in ACC. We started things off with Misano. We went to Coda for Round 2. Round 3 was our first mystery track race, which happened to be Imola. Round 4 was Kailami, which was our reverse grid race. It was an exciting one. Round 5 took us to Indianapolis. Last week was our second mystery track round, which landed at the fan favorite Red Bull Ring. And tonight we bring round 7 to Paul Ricard before we wrap things up at the Nürburgring 24-hour track. Well, let's take a quick look at our standings after 6 rounds of racing. Looking at our pro category, Neil Kerbal still leading the way with a commanding 238 points. In second place is Nathan Henderson, and in third place is Darren Wicks. Over in our Pro-Am category, Albert Gania, despite having 2 DNFs and the points corrected as you see on the screen here, still leading the way with 204 points to second place Don Donovan with 164. With a close battle, not far behind for that second place spot is Artur Hermanis in third spot with 161 points. Over in our AM category, things are very tight with the top 3. Damien Zawadzki leads the way with 232 points. Tyler Morgan in second place with 219 points, and Alan Leung not far behind with 210 points. Lots at play there in our AM category, which Dan and I will get into talking about a little bit later. Quick look at the Constructors' Championship. Hirsch Racing still hangs on to their lead, but it did get chipped away quite a bit last week with a strong performance by Braun GP. They sit in second place with 432 points, and in third place is Morgan Motorsports with 416. Well, before we take you to the action on track, we're going to kick things off with a Know Your DJing segment, the first one of the night. So without further ado, take it away, Dan.
It's time, once again, for the renowned, world-famous, celebrated, fan-favorite segment, Know Your DJing. Tonight's first driver is representing the pro class, my former teammate, and a man named after a great explorer, Gavin James Cook. Now, Gav hails from the mighty Empire of England. Or actually, now he's from Canada. Or maybe he's a Canadian Brit. Let's just say he talks funny and is overly polite. When asked his favorite track, Gav made the excellent choice of Laguna Seca. But then he thought maybe Croft, since he grew up near it. Or maybe Portland, because it's closest to him now. So yeah, clearly we're not great at picking favorites. Speaking of favorites, his IRL driver? Easy, none other than the legend Nigel Mansell. Or actually, Jenson Button. But wait, maybe Lando Norris. You know what? Let's just roll with sexy British men. When asked about his proudest DRL moment, he of course talked about the 6 seasons as my team, or his win at Barcelona and Shui. I guess, because that's totally better than the countless memories we made together. Whatever, enjoy a video.
You're a big fat meanie jerk, 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 and you really hurt my feelings. Gal's a big, mean jerk, but he won in Barcelona, so I guess that's an achievement. And he drank from a shoe. Ooh, ooh.
And there you have it. tonight's DGen of the day, an indecisive British Canadian who definitely didn't hurt my feelings tonight. If Gav can somehow miraculously win the pro class tonight, then we'll be gifting a sub to one of our lucky followers. So make sure to smash that follow button and cheer on your favorite DGen.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's our first Know Your DGen of the night. Fantastic one, I do say so myself. Dan, as always, everybody, my name is Morgan Dino, and joined along with me in the booth tonight is Dan Dilator. Dan, what's cracking, my friend?
Morgan, how you doing? The moon is shining, the bats are flapping. It's a beautiful night here for racing, although it may not be night on the circuit. But here we are looking for another great race here in the DRL with a lot on the line. We looked at the standings a little bit, and boy, is that AM class close, huh?
Yeah, things are sure tight there. Looking at those top three, and even actually while I was reading those out, you can't even put Tarugo out of it. I think he's only a few points back, but as you say there, Dan, real close championship battle at play here for our AM drivers. I think if math serves us right, any of the top three could still win the overall.
Yep, absolutely. And that's all according to our mathematician, Tyler Morgan, who has run through every possible scenario of what could happen here. And yes, Damien, of course, leading this. If he can pull a victory, he will seal it. But if not, Tyler and Alan Leung both have a chance to pull off a big upset in our final race of the season, which, how about Alan Leung still being in the mix of things? I feel like he's been an underdog here, not someone who we've talked about a lot this season, yet here he is right there with the chance to clinch a championship in the AM class.
Yeah, I know, he kind of a bit of a sleeper this season, but I mean, let's be honest, Dan, we can never count out Alan Leung. Alan is a two-time overall winner in his respective classes here in the DRL. So, yeah, maybe having a bit of a quieter season than he's had in the past, but you can't ever discredit the past champ.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's definitely something to be said for having your head down, having clean races, not any crazy action happening, and just making up place after place after place. And that's really what Alan's be able to do. But this should be a great race up and down the grid as we look around. And we also have a new name on the grid as well, I do believe.
Yeah, you're right, Dan. Yeah, we do.
Yes.
Yeah, he signed up a few races ago, but hasn't made one yet. Looks like today is going to be his debut. That is Valerio Granito, if I said that correctly. Hopefully I did. I thought that was a pretty good shot at it for my first try.
Yeah, not too bad at all. So yeah, he's in our practice servers. He's put up some great time, so should be really competitive and see how he can mix up with that pro class a little bit.
Yeah, it should be fun to see. And just taking a look at who's in practice so far with only about 5 minutes left to go before we hit qualifying. Looks like we got a pretty full grid of pro drivers, which is always wonderful to see. Looking a little sparse from our Pro-Am and AM drivers. Only two Pro-Am drivers currently in the session with Artur Hermanis and Albert Gania, who of course is our championship leader. Artur's sitting in third place, but guaranteed a second position at minimum, unless somebody else shows up.
Yeah, that's right. And we do have a few more Pro-Ams who have listed themselves as showing up. So we'll see if, a lot like Kyle Hirsch last night, we have some last-minute drivers who show up right as qualifying begins or right before qualifying starts. But yeah, should be an exciting race either way. And I mean, if we take a look at how these practice standings are coming out, Damian Zawatsky has a huge lead over the other AMs here. Tarugo, Morgan, and Malott are all nearly a full second, if not more than that, behind the pace that Damian is putting up. So if Damian can hold that pace through qualifying and the race as well, he will see himself on the top step of the podium as our AM champion this season.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. And I think the thing for Damien is just going to be have a clean and consistent race. Damien has shown us all season that he's got that single lap pace. You know, he's been up there trading pole positions with Tyler Morgan for most of the season. So we know he's quick on a 1-lap pace. What's bitten him in the last couple races has just been getting into some trouble with other drivers, maybe a bit of consistency, and then on the unfortunate last week of under fueling at Red Bull Ring, having to drop out of his podium spot.
Yeah, I'm no expert when it comes to setups, but I think a general rule of thumb to follow is if you don't have enough fuel, you're not going to be able to finish the race. So sometimes it's better to overfuel a little bit than underfuel, but I know it can be tricky for the drivers trying to do those calculations.
Yeah, and it's something about Red Bull Ring actually is that's more than once we've seen now at DRL. The last week, obviously, and then I think it was the last time we raced there, we've seen drivers run out of fuel there. So I don't know if it's an in-game calculation catching drivers out, or people just driving differently from their first stint to their second stint and perhaps burning more fuel than they anticipate. I don't know what the answer is there, but that's the one track that we've seen people run out of fuel more than once.
Yeah, now, so here we are at Paul Ricard, a circuit that some people love, some people hate. What is your stance on this circuit?
I don't have a strong feeling either way, Dan. I mean, I will be honest and say I haven't driven here a lot. Most of my Paul Ricard experience comes actually from playing the F1 games, where I actually really enjoyed the track in those cars. Having driven it in GT3 only, a handful of times. I think I've raced it once in the DRL seasons. Yeah, it's fun. It's at least you get a nice long break on that huge straightaway on the back without the chicanes. But overall, it's a decent track. I'd probably put it middle of the pack. I do understand it does offer up some pretty good racing. It's a good track for overtakes. You've got that huge straight for slipstreams if drivers get good exit following. So, yeah, I think we could be in for a good one tonight, Dan. But yeah, Paul Ricard, like you said, fan of some, not of all.
Yeah, it's a really interesting layout here. You go through the first couple turns, and if you're just looking at a track map, it doesn't look all that difficult. But the first 2 turns can be really tricky to slow the car down enough and keep on the track as you're working through them. And then you go through the long straights, which, can be a bit boring. You're just going straight. And then in the back final sector of the circuit, you go through some very technical flowy tracks where you have to find your rhythm to it. So I think that can sometimes throw drivers off, going from such a just straight to technical to low speed to straight, then technical again, and you're kind of all over the place. But yeah, this is a track that really lends itself to some great racing, some great overtake opportunities, but also a lot of opportunities where a driver can make mistakes and can find themselves off the track. So that could make some openings for drivers if they can put the pressure on. They might find some of their competitors going a little deep or going off the track. So should open up some great opportunities for everyone. And I think this will be one of the more exciting races here this season.
Yeah, and I think with Paul Ricard, one of the things that we will keep an eye out for in the race too is being a flat track. I do remember there not being a lot of great references as far as like landmarks for breaking points, where you are on track, what's coming up next. It's a very flat track, other than what turns 1 and 2 might have a 10-meter elevation change. But other than that, this is a very, very flat track. Big, huge paved runoffs, which can be a little disorientating sometimes. So yeah, curious to see if drivers can stay focused for the full 45 minutes, as we just watched Kyle Hirsch take a massive shortcut. Just goes to show you there's not a lot of obstacles to hit, but you can sure slide a long way off track.
Yep, absolutely. And as we wrap up our free practice here, Neil Kerbel is going to close this off with the fastest time of a 1:53.6. We have Hermanis in the Pro-Am 1 second behind him, and we have Zawadzki about 2 seconds behind that in the AM class. So about a second separating each class here. But all in all, these times are fairly close, and we should have a good battle out there. And without further wait, let's get right into qualifying. We're starting with the AM drivers as they will work their way out onto the circuit. And just a reminder for all of you out there, we do separate this into 2 qualifying groups. The AM will have the first 10 minutes out there, followed by the final 10 minutes for the Pro-Am and the Pro class. So we take a look at the beautiful liveries here of our Pro-Am and Pro drivers in the garage as we work through some camera technical difficulties finding a driver.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get on the phone here with our director. Something is broken. We are working on it here. See if we can have another go.
So taking a look here in qualifying, we have Tarugo, we have Tyler Morgan, we have Damian Zawadzki, and we have John Malott. Great to have John Malott back, but has missed a lot of races this season, so he's not really competing for the title too much. Zawadzki, he can close this and he can win it tonight. Tyler Morgan's going to try and hold him off. Alan Leung was one driver who could have been in the mix, but as of right now, he's not here. Let's hope he can show up in the next 18 or so minutes and get into this race to compete. But if not, Tarugo's going to look to mix things up also. But Tyler Morgan is going to be targeting that first place position tonight because he needs that to keep his back-to-back championship dreams alive. Sam, welcome to the chat. And Neo Kabuki, welcome to the chat as well. Kyle Hirsch trying out for the space program. Yeah, absolutely. He is looking to compete there. As we got a little bit of camera action here. First time flying a helicopter. How about that? I hope Morgan is licensed.
Yeah, we're trying here. We're going to take a quick intermission because I think I got to log out of the server and log back in because none of my controls are working. So stay tuned. We'll be back here in just a few seconds.
The race is on, wheels burning rubber, we're never wrong. Power in the engines, fire in our veins. In the DRL, we break the chains. No brakes, no fear, no slowing down. The checkered flag is calling, wear the crown. Degenerate race league, where the tough survive. Living for the moment we're born to drive.
All right, we are back. Technical difficulties sorted. We're good to go.
And we are following along with Tarugo right now, so we haven't missed anything too crazy. No one's been putting up any times here, so we follow along with Tarugo right now, who I believe is leading the AMs out of the garage, but I could be wrong here. But let's see what kind of lap Tarugo can put up.
Yeah, it looks like he's coming to the start-finish line here now, Dan, exiting the last corner, and we'll find out if it was a valid lap or not.
And a 157.4 is what Tarugo puts up as he puts a first time up on the board, but we have, it looks like Zawadzki who's right behind him, or is that Tyler Morgan? It was Tyler Morgan, but it does not look like he put up a valid lap, so he's still just getting those tires hot as he prepares to put up what he hopes is a pole position time. So, one thing to point out with this track, especially compared to last week at the Red Bull Ring, is this is nearly a 2-minute lap for our drivers. So, when you have these longer lap times, it is going to make a difference, as Damian Zawadzki is going to put up a 156.7. The top time so far. He's 0.6 ahead of Tarugo, and Malott comes in at a 157.8, so about 1.1 seconds behind Zawadzki. But these longer lap times are going to limit your ability, as Alan Leung has joined the race. So
here we go.
Hopes for Alan Leung is not over. Let's see what he can do. He's got about 5 minutes. Is he going to get out there, or is he just going to qualify from the back, or is he just going to start the race from the back of the grid? Last to first from the Pro AM category, and he is coming out of the pit lane. I am so excited. I can't even think right now. now because we now have our three-way battle again for first place. And you know, Tyler, you know, Alan are going to get aggressive as they look to hold their hopes alive. They're just not going to let Damien walk away with this win, as Alan looks like he might maybe be thinking twice about coming out. But either way, this is going to be exciting. Tyler has yet to put up a valid lap yet as we follow along with Tarugo to see what Tarugo can put on. Can he start shaving off a few tenths here and there as he works his way down off Damian Zawadzki's time?
Yeah, and I think I got more bad news for Tyler Morgan. I believe this lap is also invalid. So Tyler only with 2 more chances here to set a time, it's going to look like. So hopefully he can get a time on the board so he's not starting from the very back.
Yeah, all you need is one good lap though, you know? And if he can just find that good lap, that's all he needs to do. You know what they say, Morgan, diamonds are made under pressure. And let's see if Tyler can become a diamond right now.
Looking like you're right there, Dan, and that I haven't seen Alan exit the pits after it looked like he was coming up. And now I just go ahead and insert my foot in my mouth as I see his number pop up on track as he heads out on an outlap. So Alan should get 2 shots at it. It looks like, assuming he doesn't have any moments or issues, and should be able to get around for 2 laps.
Yeah, and talk about pressure for Alan, huh? You're going to come out, you've just shown up, as we're going to see Tarugo clearly invalidate there as he goes wide. But you got 1 lap for sure, maybe 2, depending on how long it's going to take you to work around this track. And like you said, if any incidents happen, so you need to make sure you make the most of your opportunities. You don't really have the time to get your tires to the perfect temperature or that car to the perfect situation for you. So Alan's got to come out and do something if he wants to try to get on pole position. But, you know, Alan is great at making up places. I don't think he's worried too much about qualifying. This probably more than anything for him is just feeling out the track and kind of getting ready for a big race for him tonight. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, like you said there, Alan's good at just putting his head down in the race and cracking on, and fairly good at staying out of trouble too. So we rarely see Alan involved in many incidents. So knows how to pick and choose his battles. And again, like you said there, showed up a little bit late to qualifying. Probably not too stressed about getting in a great time. Knows he can make it up in the race.
Absolutely, and we're following along with Damian Zawadzki here, who looks like he is coming to the end of his lap to see if he can improve that time. But Tyler Morgan has put up the best time in the race so far with the 156.4. He's passed Zawadzki by 0.3, but Zawadzki's going to go ahead and take that right back and say, les passants, hee hee hee, ha ha ha, Tyler Morgan, take that.
Take that, Tyler Morgan. Yes, we are in the land of baguettes and croissants, and a wonderful shout out to Little Mermaid, Dan. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And we had the over under on French words at 1.5 tonight, and it looks like the over has blown that out for all you betting fans. So we're on to our final minute here for our pro class. Tarugo, he crossed the line with just enough time if he has a good lap where he could sneak in and get across that line with like 2 or 3 seconds left. So we may see Tarugo be able to put up a last minute miracle, although 1.1 seconds behind still. I'm not sure if he's got that pace in it, as he is just going to pull off the track here and call that a race. So we got Malat in the pit, we got Tarugo in the pit, we got Tyler Morgan looking if he can come up with one final great lap and find about 0.4 to get past Zawadzki. Zawadzki, he is still on a lap 2, so let's see if he can improve that time. And we haven't seen anything from Alan Leung, and I don't know if he's going to be able to put up a time here. He's going to be on his last lap wherever he's at. Morgan, is he still on a valid lap?
He's on a lap. I'm not positive if it's valid because he hasn't set one since he left the pits. So I guess his first one was not valid. Not sure about this one. We'll see when he comes to the... I guess he didn't come to the line. So
Well, he
when
still
he gets,
could be out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he is still out there, but he can't start another lap. So whatever he crosses the line with, we'll find out here in a minute as the cameraman jumps on board to Alan Leung as he approaches the start
Yeah,
finish
and we
line
saw
now.
Tyler Morgan finish his lap 0.06 of a second behind Damian Zawadzki. So he's right there. He's found the pace. He's rising to the occasion. And what can Alan Leung do? 3 seconds behind. So I think Alan will take that, given that is his second lap of the night, where others have been on for an hour of practice session. So we wrap up our AM qualifying with Damian Zawadzki taking pole position with a 156.027. Tyler Morgan 0.06 of a second behind him. Tarugo is 1 second behind that with a 157.1. John Malott is 1.7 behind Damian Zawadzki, and Alan Leung is going to round out the AM class 3 seconds behind Damian Zawadzki. As we follow along here with pro driver Neil Kerbel, who looks to start us off with the first lap of the race. Neil Kerbel is our first place position in the AM category. He finished practice in first place as well. So he is looking to continue this hot streak, although Kyle Hirsch was very close to him in practice, and we may find ourselves with a little bit of a battle. We also can't count out our newest driver, Mr. Granito, who has put up some very competitive times in the practice servers as well, and I think he may find some race pace.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, like you said, Dan, putting up some pretty impressive times in practice, and I saw a bunch of the drivers chatting in Discord earlier this week, seeing the new guy put down some times here at Paul Ricard, and being a little worried at where he may end up in the podium and shake up the order.
All right, as we follow along with our Tourist Hermanis here, one of our 2 Pro-Am drivers who have showed up today. So we talked about this when we were in Indianapolis, but for these 2 drivers, they got to make sure that they finish the race here. And they will find themselves in a podium position as we follow along with, I'm not sure who exactly that is behind Spencer Braun, but they may want to give themselves a little bit of space here as we got kind of a few cars bunching up. And for those of you who don't know, our rule is no overtaking is allowed in qualifying. You may not pass another driver unless they invalidate their lap or they choose to voluntarily give up the position to you. So we'll see how this affects.
Yeah, it looks like that's newcomer Granito behind Braun there on this opening lap. So not sure if he was trying to play the slipstream into his quali lap, or if he's just not aware of the spacing. He's got a lot of place on track that he could back up and have clear air, choosing to run on the back of Spencer Braun. But as you say, Dan, yeah, no overtaking in qualifying, so we'll hopefully having a mirror full for Spencer doesn't throw him off his qualifying performance and can still set a good lap.
Which could absolutely be a strategy here, is just keep the pressure on him. There's nothing that says you can't hug him tight the way he just did and get in his head a little bit. And if you know that you're going to be close in times to somebody, that may just throw them off their game a little bit. You know, the mind games as you play with them a little bit. And but be interesting to see because he's only hurting himself there. So far as we see the times coming in, Neil Kerbel with the 154.6 is our current pole sitter. But Kyle Hirsch, as we said, is a 10th behind him. He is right there. And Nate Henderson as well is 1.8, 1/10 behind Neil as well. Him and Kyle Hirsch put up almost identical times. Professor Chronotis is 7/10 behind Neil Kerbel, followed by Daniel Hirsch, who is 8/10 behind Neil Kerbel. And then we got Albert Gania, who's found his way up from not the best practice session, but he's found a great time here, who's in between Daniel Hirsch and Gav Cook, one of our DGens of the day, at 1.1 seconds behind Neil. So I think Gav's going to hope to find a little bit more pace here Spencer, he's down with 1.4 seconds behind Neil Kerbel. So I'm not sure if he just doesn't have great pace on this track, or if Granito's maybe tactics, we'll say, has gotten into his head a little bit and messed up his pace. If he's a little worried about getting clipped from behind.
Yeah, it looks like I just see on the timing board too now Granito has returned to the pits, so maybe not so much good luck trying to follow in behind Spencer. Going to regroup, grab some tires, head back out, and give her another shot here with 4 minutes to go. Give him time for an out lap and probably 1 or 2 more shots at it if he can get out there quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. You just got to find that space now. One thing that's trickier with a few more drivers on the grid than last time is you got to find a good spot to come out, because if you're on your out lap here, you do have to let the drivers who on their hot lap go through, and you can lose a lot of time constantly pulling over, lifting, and letting the other drivers come through. As we watch Professor Chronotis just expertly drive through that chicane there, carrying as much speed as possible using all the track. Now we're riding along with Kyle Hirsch here as he's going to work his way through into rounding out the back part of this track here.
I think he's just starting his lap there. That was turns 1 and 2 for
right.
chicane. Kyle Hirsch looking to close down that gap. Neil's increased it from just over a tenth up to 3/10 now. So Kyle hoping to improve on this lap himself as we see him put a little French on it and get the rear sideways as he heads out onto the back straight now.
Yeah, and that can be a little bit of a tricky turn there because you're just... it feels like you're turning forever, and at the same time you're trying to gain as much speed onto your exit, and it can be a little difficult to grab traction there as we follow along with Neil as he crosses the line, dropping down to a 153.9. So he's improved his time by about 2/10, pushing up to 3/10 for Kyle Hirsch. But Gav Cook, it seems like he is listening to this stream here as he has improved his time by a lot. Now 7/10 behind Neil Kerbel, but he has jumped Nate Henderson, Daniel Hirsch, Professor Chronotis, and Albert Gania as well. Spencer has not been able to find an improvement of time, and Granito is out of the pit lanes now, so he is looking to do something with the final 2 minutes or so left in this qualifying session.
Yeah, as he's looking at the timing board here, I'm seeing improvements from a lot of drivers all the way around this lap. We just saw Daniel Hirsch jump back ahead of Gavin Cook for that third spot in qualifying, as we see a handful of drivers making it to the line now to get probably 1, some of them 2 more in before the session's over. So curious to see how things shake out. Again, seeing a lot of green across the board. Nathan Henderson about to come to the line with a massive improvement, jumps up to P2 with that 154.135.
Yeah, big lap there. So, I think that as it always goes in qualifying, right? The moral of the story is to improve every single lap, but it's going to really matter here. Most of these drivers will be on their last lap. Depending on where you are, you might get another driver who can get 1 more after this, but it's showtime, right? Here's where you're to make your mark, and this is very competitive in the pro class. This might be the most competitive qualifying session that we've seen this season in the pro category.
Yeah, it's really tight as we are right on board with Neil Kerbel, who crosses the line and improves yet again now to a 153.682. So Nate Henderson now 4/10 behind that, and Neil's gonna he made it to the line, so he's got time to go for 1 more, assuming he's filled enough fuel to do so. So can still improve from there.
As we see, not Spencer this time, but his teammate Gav Cook with Granito right behind him again. So Granito might be, wise to create some separation if he can. With 25 seconds left, it looks like they should have enough time to get another lap in. It looks like they're approaching the final turn of the track here, but I could be wrong. Nope, yeah, they are. So might be better off to give a little more space. But Gav's put up not horrible times, so might not be the worst car to be following here. So we see Neil has put up a 153.6. Our current server best lap time is a 153.5. that's been put up by Neil Kerbel. So he is pretty close to the fastest time that he's going to put up. As we see, Kyle Hirsch is the first to finish. He is half a second behind where Neil Kerbel is, but these standings could change. Nate Henderson is finishing with the 153.7. A 154.2 maybe is where Kyle Hirsch is at, as we fall along with Neil Kerbel here, who's got to be feeling pretty good. I'm not sure anyone's going to find 7/10 or more at this point in time, especially in the pro class. It's a little less common because these guys are so good at putting up great times every single lap. It's not easy to find a full second, let alone finding a 10th. Can be difficult, but we're going to follow along with Neil as he goes into the pit lane, and he's going to take that as his qualifying time is a 153.6, and I'm sure he is happy with that. Let's see, we got Gav Cook and we got Granito right behind him. It's important. Ooh, as Gav Cook's going to go for a little drift, and thankfully he does not hit Granito, but that is going to be the end of Gav Cook's qualifying session. And let's see, can Granito put up a time? Coming in, I believe this is the final turn. He's working his way through here. No, he's got a couple more turns to go, actually.
One more to go.
One more. Maverick, what's up, my man? Missing you on the track. Thank you for joining the stream. Granito is going to put it right in front of Gav Cook. He's going to get there by 0.04 of a second. So how about that? We got Neil Kerbel, we got Nate Henderson, Kyle Hirsch, Daniel Hirsch, Albert Gania, Granito, Cook, Chronotis, Hermanis, Zawatsky, Morgan, Braun, Tarugo, Malat, and Leung. What a qualifying session that this has been. Before we do our grid rock, Morgan, I think we got another DGen of the Day segment to run through here.
We absolutely do. Let's kick it over to our Pro-Am Know Your DGen.
Let's get ready for another segment of Know Your DGen. Tonight, we're spotlighting our Pro-Am class leader, Albert Gania. From the land of maple syrup and moose, Albert hails from Canada. His favorite ride? The legendary Celine S7, straight out of your childhood poster collection. When asked if he prefers leading or following, Albert broke the trend. He's the only driver so far bold enough to say he wants to lead. That's right, no hiding in the draft. This man wants all the smoke. And when it comes to his favorite IRL driver, it's none other than the long-lost grandson of Sir Frank Williams, Mr. Williams himself, Alex Albon. And you know we couldn't wrap this up without a clip. Let's take a look at a highlight reel from Albert, edited slightly by yours truly. And remember, if Albert wins the Pro-Am race tonight, we'll be donating subs to the channel. And there you go. That's another Know Your DGen in the books. Don't forget to like and subscribe to cheer on your favorite DGens.
Well, there we have it. Another Know Your DGen. Dan, you really know how to knock those out of the park. Another fantastic one there for Albert. We are on the grid with just shy of 3 minutes to go before these guys start their outlap.
Yeah, Morgan, and what better time to take a little stroll down the grid and look at some of our beautiful liveries and look at where our drivers finish up in this qualifying session. So first, we have Neil Kerbel holding down pole position, followed by Nate Henderson, car number 31 in second place, who looks to compete as we go through. Third we have is Kyle Hirsch. Kyle Hirsch put up some great times in practice, so I think he's going to hope to find a little more pace throughout this race. And he has his brother Daniel Hirsch. The two Hirsch racing team mates are in third and fourth. Last week in Red Bull Ring, we saw a bit of door banging between these two. Let's see if they decide to work together here or if they're going to fight the brotherly fight. Then we have our pole position for the Pro-Am class. Car number 98, our DGen of the day, Albert Gania. This is looking great for him, holding pole position here. 50-50 chance he's going to finish in first place tonight. Then we have our newest driver to the grid, Mr. Granito himself, car number 98 in a nice, clean Lamborghini. Followed by Gavin Cook, our pro DGen of the day. He's going to have a bit of places to make up if he's going to want to get that victory for all our great viewers. So you guys need to cheer them on. Followed by Professor Chronotis, car number 420. And then we have our next Pro-Am driver, Arturas Hermanis, in car number 44, who looks to make up some places. It will be interesting to see how him and Kania interact with a few pros in between the two of them. Then we have our pole sitter in the AM category, Damian Zawatsky, who with a first place win tonight can claim the title in the AM class. Tyler Morgan looks to defend his championship as he hopes to overtake Damian Zawatsky in this race and continue this AM battle into the final race of the season. And then we have, rounding out the pro class, Spencer Braun, who's going to have a lot of room to make up, and he's going to have to work his way through a fight in the AM class. So it'll be interesting what Spencer can do here, but I think he's got to be pretty disappointed with where he's ended up with his qualifying section. Next, we have Tarugo. Mathematically, I am not sure if Tarugo is still in it, but Tarugo's not going to care. He's going to want to upset everybody with a victory tonight, and looking at his qualifying pace, he absolutely can. Then we have John Malott, car number 85, with another new, well, I guess he had this last week, but a beautiful Spy versus Spy livery. Love that livery out there as he looks to see how he can mix up this AM class. Followed by Alan Leung, car number 555, as he rounds out our grid. He hopes to find himself in the mix because Alan Leung is not mathematically out of the points. And if we see some contact between Damien and Tyler as they fight for this title, we may see Alan slip through with a through goes Hamilton moment as he continues this title into the last race of the season. So we got our drivers off. We have a full outlap here at the DRL. So we are going to follow along with these drivers as they heat their tires and they get ready for 45 minutes in France. No croissants, no Eiffel Towers, nothing but rubber, sweat, hopes and dreams, and let's see what they're going to be able to make of it. Morgan, what's something you're watching for this race?
Yeah, well, obviously we've got championship battles kind of up and down the grid. We've spoken about it a couple times. Obviously, the tightest one being in our AM class, with 3 drivers still, and maybe 4, haven't done the math on the 4th, able to walk away with the championship between tonight and then our season finale at the 24-hour of Nürburgring layout. So, yeah, curious to see where people end up. Like you said, Zawatsky can, I think, clinch it tonight with a victory. But there's a lot of other fast AMs out there who are trying to make that not happen. And then curiously in the pro class, just to see if Kerbal can just continue his domination this season with another victory, or if Nate Henderson can put the pressure on and get him to flinch and lose that top spot.
Yeah, it'll be absolutely interesting to see, you know, as we look at the class points, Neil's at 238, Henderson is at 206. But you get a lot of points if you win, and if you DNF, you don't finish, something happens, you can lose a lot of points. So a lot of it's out of Henderson's control, but if he can put up a first place victory and something happens to Neil which causes him to DNF or fall way down the grid, it's not, you know, it's not finished. You gotta hope, you gotta dream, and sometimes all you gotta do is be living on a prayer and hope for the best. In the Pro-Am class, it's a little bit more of a stark difference with Gania at 204 points. Although the last time we saw a low number of Pro-Am drivers, Gania did choose to DNF and retire early, which we talked about was a big mistake, we thought, for him, because there was a lot of points that were given up. So regardless of what happens, as long as Gania finishes this race, even if he finishes last overall, he should have enough points with Don Donovan not being here for the race tonight. And Hermione's being about 45 points or so behind him. But the AM class is the one we're really watching because that one is so tight between all of our drivers. And like we said, even if Tyler Morgan finishes first and Zawadzki second, this thing's carrying on. And if Alan Leung can come in first and Tyler and Damien fall down the order a little bit, he's going to be right in, only 9 points behind Tyler. So this is really exciting. We're seeing our drivers line up side by side, which means we are approaching the end of our outlap, and we're going to get ready for a battle in France. So we got Burt Macklin redeeming a shake and bake, baby. So
yeah, let's go.
That.
Let's get this green flag underway here. Drivers rounding the last couple corners as they get onto the start-finish straight, and we're going to get this race cooking here in France at Paul Ricard. Drivers getting into their appropriate lanes, and we should have green flag here any moment.
And Nate is right there. I mean, it almost looks from this angle like he's in side by side, if not in front of Neil, as the lights are green and we are down. Neil gets a great jump off the line. He's going to have the inside line anyways as we go through this first turn, but he's going to move over, take position as Henderson makes an aggressive dive into the inside, and that's going to open it up for Kyle Hirsch, who's going to be able to move. They're going to go wheel to wheel, a little bit of door banging, nothing too bad as Henderson's going to hold on to that. It looks like a little bit of chaos in the back, but Kyle Hirsch has been able to take advantage of an aggressive dive inside by Nate Henderson. Nate's going to go deep here as well, and what is he going to do? Daniel's going to be cautious there. A good move by Daniel to break there. As we see, that looks like Gania and Hermione's have found themselves nose to tail here very quickly. So as, Gania almost lost it there. So I'm not sure if Gania just let the faster cars through to line himself up better or what, but we definitely have a battle going on in Pro-Am right now. Let's see, Tyler Morgan has fallen down the grid a little bit too. Malott has worked up quite a few places. Damian Zawadzki is still currently leading the AMs, followed by John Malott, then Tyler Morgan, then Tarugo, and Alan Leung is playing it safe in the back. So not sure if there was a little contact for Tyler or if he just got a little greedy, maybe trying to make a move similar to what Henderson did, but it looks like Henderson has got that place back from Kyle Hirsch's. I don't know what is going on. We got cones flying all over the place, so I guess welcome to France, as it looks like Kyle and Nate are just in a battle as they make some contact. It looks like Gania might have been involved in there too, but it looks like they're falling way down the order as they're losing time, fighting or banging doors with each other, or whatever it is they're doing. But talk about a crazy first lap here, as it looks like Hermione's has got in front of Gania with whatever happens there. But who would have thought Kyle and Nate would have fallen this far back as we kind of wait for the timetables to update. It looks like...
Yeah, these two have fallen all the way down to 6th and 7th, so their battling has cost them a lot of positions. These two very, very close in pace, but that pace, is really, like we said, dropped them way down the order. These two were in P2, P3 to start this race. Started with contact right away through turn 1. As Nathan had to make a defensive move with Kyle's excellent jump off the green flag. So looks like these two have separated out. As far as the rest of the grid here, Dan, on the opening lap it was pretty clean, so I'm not sure if we had just drivers kind of slotting into position, getting their tires up to temperature, maybe a few slide offs here and there, but it wasn't until lap 2 here I'm seeing a few contacts, but nothing major so far, as we do see John Malott in the pit. So I'm not sure if John has run into some problems himself.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what's going on here with Malott, but a few things to notice. Neil Kerbel has been able to hold on to his lead, but how about our new driver Granito finding himself in second place? He's 2.8 seconds behind Kerbel. He had great pace in practice, so we're going to have to follow along and watch that battle and see how that 2.8 second gap moves over the next few laps. Is he improving or is he not? We got Daniel Hirsch, who is up a place in 3rd. Gav Cook, who's made up a few places, up in 4th. Professor Chronotis as well. And then we go down to Kyle Hirsch and Nate Henderson. Kyle seems to be pulling away a bit from Nate, who's 7/10 behind him, as from what we see. Then we got Hermione's, and then we got Damian Zawadzki. A second behind Damian Zawadzki, Spencer Braun. So he hasn't been able to find a lot of pace through these first couple laps. Tyler Morgan is half a second behind him. So Tyler's about a second and a half away from Zawadzki. But Zawadzki is right behind Hermanis. And I don't know if he's going to try to make a move or anything else, but definitely something to keep an eye on between Hermanis and Zawadzki, because that could be a big moment for him. Leung, he is still behind Tarugo. Gania, I'm not sure what happened to him. He's 7 seconds back. It looked like he might have got mixed up in some of that chaos there. As it looks like Zawadzki's going to make a move on the inside, and that is going to stick. No, he's battling with Spencer Braun here. So
yeah, these two have been going at it here for the second half of that last lap. Spencer did get ahead, looked like on the start-finish straight, but Zawadzki took it back through turns 1 and 2. Spencer clearly getting
Tyler Morgan right into the mix.
Yeah, and Spencer getting a little taste of his own defense that we've talked about the last couple of weeks here. Zawadzki putting on a clinic right now, keeping Braun behind over the last couple laps.
Yeah, this definitely seems to be the battle to follow here. Although Nate Henderson has closed it down to 4/10 behind Kyle Hirsch, but we got Damian Zawadzki here defending against Spencer Braun, and you got to ask yourself, is this the smart thing to do, or is it easier just to let him through and focus on holding Tyler? It looks like he's actually going to let Spencer through on this main straight, and Tyler's going to try to sneak through as well too, although it looks like he might have to think a little bit better of that, as Damian is great about letting drivers through. We talked to him after the race last week, and he talked about how he has a lot of experience doing multi-class races, so he's used to letting a faster-paced car get through and losing a minimal amount of time. He chose to fight there for a little bit, but we see he was able to hold off Tyler. But Tyler is right there. He is sniffing that tailpipe, and you know Tyler is going to give this 110% of whatever he can, and if he can't get through Damian at some point, he is going to have to make that desperation move. This is the point in the season where you have to make the moves. As we see the pit window open, Nate Henderson is going to be our first driver to take an official pit stop. John Millot did pull into the pits. I'm not sure why, but he did pull into the pits. It did not count, so we got Millot. We have Tyler Morgan and Gania have all chosen pit early. So Tyler's reverting back to his old strategy of pit immediately and then hot lap through. Let's see if that works out for Tyler. What's your thoughts on this, Morgan?
Yeah, I mean, for Nathan, I think this one makes sense. He was in a tough battle with Kyle Hirsch from the beginning of the race, stuck behind Kyle now down in the middle of the pack. So I think for Nathan, this makes sense. This is a chance for him to take the fuel that he needs to meet the requirement, minimum 1 liter, get back out on track. It is a fairly long stop here, so he should have a good amount of free track to just hot lap, put in the best laps he can, while the other drivers kind of continue to go around, where I assume a lot of them are going to make late pit stops. As we see Gania get a stop go 30, and
he retired.
I think
what
he's gone.
What a mistake for Gania.
So in a race where all he needed to do was finish and take points to sew up the championship, this might not be over as we move to the final round. He would obviously have to show up to that race and put in points. So this thing just got a little interesting in the Pro-Am category as well, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. And just seeing some discussions through Discord, it looks like maybe something happened between Millot and Gania, which caused Millot to need to go into the pits to get some damage repaired and hurt Gania as well.
We're right on board with Gavin Cook, who has made his way back up to P4. So after having a fantastic finish last week, earning himself on a podium at Red Bull Ring, finishing second place after all the stewarding was completed. Gavin, not maybe the best qualifying he was hoping for here at Paul Ricard, but is up now 3 spots, starting in 7th into 4th place, trying to chase down Daniel Hirsch, which is no small task for Gavin. So keep a lookout that for the rest of this race. Gavin does also have a very quick Professor Chronotis right behind him there in P5. driving that super bright pink Ferrari 296.
Yeah, I think Gav's got to feel pretty good about where he's at right now. As we just kind of glance through the timetables, Neil is dominating this race. Granito's at 3.3 seconds behind him, so he's gone up about half a second over the last 2 laps. But he's also making up some pace on Daniel Hirsch, who's 3.5 seconds behind him. And Gav is about second, 1.3 or so behind Daniel Hirsch. Professor Chronotis, as you said, he's right behind, and he seems to have great pace as Gav's getting a little squirrely there on the curbs. And Kyle Hirsch, he's 2 seconds or so behind Professor Chronotis as he looks to make a makeup drive. We know Kyle's got great pace, but did he take damage during that battle, and how much did he cook his tires ahead of time? Hermanis, he's in a great spot. I mean, Hermanis is aware enough to know that he's going to finish in first place regardless of what happens here. Spencer Braun continues to look to make up places. And then we go into Zawatsky, who's got to just keep hot lapping as fast as he can. He's 8.5 behind Tarugo. Leung is a second behind Tarugo as well. So Leung's got some work to do if he wants to get in there. And then we have our drivers who have pit. So Nate Henderson, our one pro driver who has pit, he's going to be basically hot lapping right now and see where he can make up time. I think, like you said, that was a great decision for him. We got Tyler first AM to pit. He's 2.5 seconds behind Henderson, although he surely is not trying to compete with Henderson here, battle with him at all, as he looks to just keep putting up the best laps as possible. And Malott came in for the second time this race, but his first eligible pit stop after some type of contact with Gania.
Yeah, Dan, and just taking a look at the driver's pit stops, one thing I have noted here is Nate Henderson did have a little bit of a longer stop at stationary for 13.8 seconds compared to Tyler Morgan's 7.2 seconds. So either had to take more fuel than he needed or was planning on, or maybe, like you said, received a bit of damage in the battle with Kyle Hirsch and just chose to take and get that repaired. Maybe it was affecting him enough that it was causing significant lap time loss.
Yeah, and he went in with 40 minutes, 38 minutes left in this race. There's a lot of time to make up that extra 20 or 30 seconds that it might cost for the repairs. As we ride along with Leung here and see what he is seeing as we look at this track here, as Chronotis is still right behind Gav, and it looks like Kyle Hirsch has made up about a second as we've been rambling on here. So Kyle is definitely looking to see if he can kind of make a move on these two as well.
Yeah, well, assuming Kyle doesn't have the damage, he'll definitely have the pace to put these guys under pressure. Again, we've talked about week over week. You can be quicker, but overtaking in GT3, you got to be about a second a lap quicker pace-wise to be able to have an opportunity to make an overtake. So you really are waiting for somebody to make a mistake with our drivers in this class, who are just also tightly bunched up as far as their lap times go. So yeah, if Kyle can make a move here, to see him climb back up the leaderboard, he's definitely going to take that opportunity. But we might see him also just at some point dive into the pits maybe a bit earlier than these guys and try to go for an undercut.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see as we see Gav pulling up here onto the back of Daniel Hirsch as well. So Neil continues to run away with it, and Granito is running away from Daniel Hirsch. But Gav, Professor Chronotis, and Kyle Hirsch are pulling up as Daniel goes deep there. A few of the drivers go a little bit deep there. Not as detrimental during a race as it is compared to qualifying, because most of the time you're just getting a warning. You're not invalidating or having any penalties come. But it will be interesting to see if they get any strikes for track limit violations there, if they're making up any time. But I do wonder if this is a trickier pit lane for the drivers. One thing about tracks that drivers don't drive too much is they're not as familiar with the pit lanes, and sometimes the pit entries can sneak up on you a little bit, especially if someone unintentionally takes out any of the markers going into it. So I know Gania, we saw before he left, got that stop and go 30. It'll be interesting to see if any other drivers have entries going into the pits, as we see Spencer right behind the back of Hermanis here. I can't imagine Hermione's is going to really deal with fighting too much with already a win locked in, but you never know. You're out there to drive. You're not out there just to hot lap. So you want to race, and why not race a little bit? As, yeah, he is going to hold that position, and he is going to tell Spencer to come take it from him.
Yeah, Archer's has shown us week after week that he'll race anybody. He doesn't care what class you're in. I think he knows, being the only Pro-Am driver, he's got nothing to lose. He just has to finish this race. So why not? You're out here to have some fun. Hot lapping for 45 minutes is definitely, there's time, not the best use of my time anyways. There's other things I'd rather be doing. So yeah, if I get the opportunity to race, go ahead and race. That's what we're here to do. Archer's showing Spencer too what the raw straight line speed of that Mustang has, although seeing them in the distance, it looks like they may have just flipped position. But back when they were on that start finish straight, that Mustang, just ever so slightly pulling away from that Porsche, just due to its ability to have a little bit more power on those straights.
Yeah, and this is just a great track for the different cars, because you'll see it. You got the long straight, which those cars with the straight line speed, will really be able to start to pull away a little bit, like you said. But you also have these windy turn sections, which the cars that can handle the turns with a little more speed can make up that time. So it's almost like these cars are very evenly matched depending on where you are on the circuit. As we are along with Arturus here, who he is behind Spencer. So whether Spencer earned that position or Hermione's just decided to let him through at some point, we will never know. But it looks like Zawadzki is pulling up behind the back of Hermione's as well. So it's kind of interesting here. If you take a look at the timetables, we got Leung about 18 seconds behind Zawadzki, Henderson about 16 seconds behind him, and then 7 seconds or so behind that is Tyler Morgan. And we talk about this week over week, but is the decisions on the pit lane and what is the best thing for Zawadzki to do. I'm almost surprised that he didn't decide to immediately cover off, as we see Gav go take a little slide. Not the drift god that Gania is, but he is going to be able to get that car back without losing a horrible amount of time. As Chronotis, that is one way to get an overtake. He's going to start putting the pressure on Daniel Hirsch. But as I was saying, it's kind of surprising that he didn't decide just to cover off Tyler right away with a pit stop and just battle out from there, because now he's just kind of opening himself up for delays and whatever else can happen on the track. What's your personal strategy when you're out there? If you're in a battle with someone like that, do you choose to kind of copy their pit strategy, or do you not worry about them and race your own race?
Yeah, I usually just try to race my own race. I mean, you've usually made fuel calculations on when you plan on stopping. That's not to say you can't stop early, but it just really depends. And I'm also the kind of driver that, for whatever reason, and you hear other drivers talk about this too, they make their pit stop and the pace falls off, and I'm one of those drivers. So I usually prefer to go as long as I can before making a pit stop, because I just know when I come out after my stop, my pace just disappears, and I don't know why. It's something I've never really been able to figure out. I assume it's just fatigue and just that little break of not kind of being in that flow state of putting in consecutive laps. Maybe it's broken up, but yeah, I guess it really depends, Dan. I mean, if you've got feel like you've got a ton of pace in hand, then sure, maybe what we got, Archer's Hermani's pulled over on the side of the track here, came to a complete stop, and I don't know what is going on here.
What is happening? As he's going to get it going again. Although sometimes you can unintentionally kill your engine, and it can take you a second to realize you have shut the engine off and have to get that up and running. But you're absolutely right about that. As the cool kids would say, it's probably a skill issue, not being so good out of the pit lanes. But what do I know? But you're right. I think you ought to have faith in the strategy that you've put together and just hope that it is not Ferrari out there making the strategies for you. As I'm not sure what happened with Hermani's. Maybe he was thinking of pulling back into the pit lanes or taking a tow or whatever it was. As we see, Kyle has got ahead of Professor Chronotis, who is looking to go side by side. He is alongside here with using that straight line speed This will be very interesting going to this turn, which all the pro drivers seem to go very wide. Kyle is a little bit squirrely there. He's going to push Professor Chronotis very wide, as he's going to have to slot back in and take another shot either down the main straight or see if he can find a way to sneak it through. But maybe Hermione's had this moment of realization of, oh, I'm the only pro-am in here, so let's just carry on.
Yeah, really interesting what happened there, Dan. I mean, we could always check in with Arter's post-race. He also is racing very far away from where our server is hosted, he obviously being over in Europe. And I know sometimes he deals with bad latency and ping, so maybe potentially a bit of a network issue as well, because we did see his car kind of flash like it went to the pits there for a second and then back to track. So maybe a connectivity issue as well.
Yep, absolutely. And I guess either way, he is back. So Professor Chronotis, who was right behind Kyle, has seemed to have fallen off a little bit. Gav Cook, who did fall to the back of this battle, he is not out of it completely. He is only a second behind Chronotis, so these guys are all still battling out. Granito, he's 3.7 seconds behind, so he's kind of just holding pace here with Neil, who is just really running away with it. We got Spencer, who's behind Gav. I'm not exactly sure. 7 seconds behind him. We got Damian Zawoski, who's got ahead of Arturus Hermanus. We got Alan Leung, who has worked his way up, but he's got a little bit of time to find. We got Nate Henderson, who is continuing to close that gap. And we got Tarugo, who has pulled into the pits and found himself ahead of Malott, but behind Tyler Morgan. So we kind of find ourselves into a little bit of everyone's settling into their race here, Morgan. This might be a good time to play our final Know Your DGen segment of the night.
Yeah, sounds like a good spot here, Dan. We got drivers spaced out pretty well now, so not a lot of action happening on track. So yeah, sure, let's jump into our third and final Know Your DGen.
It's time, once again, for another segment of Know Your DGen. Our featured AM driver is a former DRL champion and commentator, the Tyler Morgan. Tyler hails from, you guessed it, Canada, eh? Tyler's favorite track, Red Bull Ring or Imola, but we all know it's Red Bull Ring. Nice try, Tyler. How did Tyler get started sim racing? Well, some wonderful and kind friends gifted him a wheel. Aww. And what's Tyler's hobbies outside of sim racing? Well, he likes the weather.
I am a weatherman, not just another man. I like the weather, 'cause I am a weatherman. Dark, spooky clouds drifting through the night. Then a sunset comes, painting the sky just right. I am a weatherman, not a better man. Watching every storm across the land. I am the weatherman, Tyler the weatherman. I love the weather, that's just what I am.
And there you have it, another segment of Know Your DGen. Remember, if one of our featured drivers wins their class, then we'll be gifting subs to our followers. So smash that follow button and cheer on your favorite DGen.
Oh, there we have it, our third and final Know Your DGen, Tyler the Weatherman Morgan, as he hopes to take a victory here and be maybe our final hope for giving away some channel subs tonight here, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Tyler's going to be giving it absolutely everything tonight. We've said this over and over again, so not to be a broken record, but Tyler is not one just to give up his championship. And it's a title that he is defending. And we all know here at the DRL how badly Tyler wants to defend that title and become a back-to-back champion. And it's going to all come down to this race. And if we remember last season, it came down to the final race for Tyler, and he had to hold position. And I believe it was with Wes Romery, who he was battling with. And that final turn of the final lap of the race, Romery makes that move. You dive on the inside, and you kind of bump into each other, you make that contact. But I think if Tyler can get close enough, he'll make that move, as it looks like Gav Cook found his way in front of Professor Chronotis as we were learning about our good friend Tyler Morgan a little bit. So Chronotis is right there, hundredths of a second behind Gav. Very interesting to see. Kyle Hirsch is now 0.8 behind his brother Daniel Hirsch, as Granito has made his pit. So he is the first of our leading, 5 cars that were battling 6 cars. So he's the first to come to the pits. So let's see how that plays out for him. He's going to find himself behind Zawatsky, who I got to think, he's 14 seconds behind. So I don't know how long it's going to take him to close that gap. But that's where he's at, in between Zawatsky and Hermanis. Nate Henderson is still 5 seconds behind Hermione, so I don't think Nate is making up the time that he hoped or thought that he would make up here. Not like it was last race for him.
Yeah, it's always hard to know what's going on with that driver in that car. Again, he had a longer than usual stop time. Again, I would have assumed it was for damage, but maybe he was dealing with more than what he ended up getting repaired and just had to get back on track to not lose a ton of time. So yeah, it's possible that Henderson is driving with some damage on the car. Just having a quick look at his lap times, though, Dan, maybe he's just had a bad lap somewhere, because he's still putting in 154.9s, which is right on pace with what Neil is laying down right now currently. So
yeah, so interesting to see. Maybe he found himself having a hard time working through a few of those pro drivers, finding a good opportunity. But we are now under 20 minutes left in this race, about 14 minutes left for the pit window, as we still have a good portion of this grid that has not pit, although I see Professor Chronotis has decided to come in for the pits, as we have John Malott who's pulling in the pit lanes as well. John is 4 laps behind the rest of the grid, so I'm not sure what exactly has happened for him tonight, but this looks to be a race to forget for John Malott. We'll have to see if he's coming out again or if he's going to choose to retire that car. But it's got to be some damage somewhere. Given the distance to other cars, I'm not sure if he slid off or if he's just didn't repair all the damage earlier or what's gone on there. But so let's take a look at where we're at. And this is a little bit of a mixed up grid order here, because some have pit and some have not. But we got Neil Kerbel, who is still in first place, 20 seconds ahead of Kyle Hirsch, who has got in front of his brother and is now a second ahead of Daniel Hirsch. Gav Cook is about 2 seconds behind Daniel Hirsch, and he's got Spencer about 8 seconds behind him. Damian Zawatsky is still leading the AM category, 2 seconds behind Spencer Braun, but behind him, he has our first pro driver or our leading pro driver out of the pits, not the first to pit, but he has Granito behind him, who is now at 12 seconds behind him. Then we have Arturas Hermanis, our lone pro-am for the night, 9 seconds behind Granito. And he has Nate Henderson, who is 2.2 seconds behind him. Behind Nate Henderson is Professor Chronotis. So I guess if we take a look at this here, this has worked out well for Nate. He's found himself jumping Professor Chronotis, and I suppose he will hope he continues to jump driver after driver. Alan Leung is 11 seconds behind him. He now has Tyler Morgan 8 seconds behind him, and Tyler has already pit. So this looks to be a race for Leung that he's got to find something in the next 17 minutes, or something's going to have to happen for him to make that up. But behind Tyler Morgan, we do have Tarugo, who has pit also as well, and we have John Malott, who is still sitting in the pit lanes. It looks like he has retired his car, and there is a lot of symbols in the chat, which means that Fanto Mucho Killer is not happy. I'm not sure if that's you, Mr. Malott. Tough race. If it is, let us know in the chat what happened in a respectful way. You got smashed early. Was it with Gania? I saw on Discord he apologized about something, but we missed it. It looked like he got caught up possibly in trying to avoid another incident in front of him. But you hate to see it. the early incidents just absolutely ruined the race for you. As we've seen a lot of drivers go wide there, Morgan, but I don't think we've seen anyone go more wide than what we just saw Gav Cook do in the back there.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. I always love when you get a shot of a car and then just in the background you just see somebody go flying way off track. You can always count on our good degen of the day, Gav Cook, to throw one out wide there.
Yeah, absolutely. So Damian Zawadzki, as we've been chatting here, has decided to take his pit, and he has come 5.5 seconds ahead of Tyler Morgan, is where he looks to be right now. So Zawadzki's got to be feeling good with 16 minutes or so to go, having that level of a lead in front of Tyler Morgan. He's also got ahead of Alan Leung as well. I'm not sure if Leung let him through or if he just had the pace to get by, but he is now ahead of Leung. He's got a driver in between them. Leung has about 10 minutes to pit, so I'm not sure what he's going to do. But definitely something to keep an eye on, as we have kind of just everyone's kind of doing their race right now. Not anything too exciting to really watch. However, Henderson has closed this to 3/10, so he is making up the time here on Hermanis. Not an opportunity to pass into the first turn, but I think he will probably get him on the long straight that's coming up after turn 4. Just line that up, get a good exit, and you should have no problem getting past Hermanis. Although we talked about earlier, the Mustang does have great straight line speed. I don't think Hermanis is going to want Henderson behind him right now anyways, so I don't think he will really put up too much of an aggressive defense here.
Yeah, we just see a big snap there from Henderson, though, so that's going to hurt his exit speed on the straight, as we see him already dropping away there from Hermione. I was just going to say there before they got to the straight, if any car can challenge the Mustang on this straight, though, it is going to be that Aston Martin, especially in the slipstream. Probably one of the other fast cars in a straight line, but I think that little bit of rear wheel spin that we saw Nate have there out of turn, what's that, 3 there, I guess, or 4, just cost him all the way down that straight.
Yeah, although I don't think that's going to stop Nate, as he is getting right behind him and lining him up for any possible turn that he can, if he can find a way to sneak on the inside. Hermanis has got to be feeling the pressure here. It's never easy when you have a pro driver right behind you like this, and you know, in your mirrors, it looks like the cars sometimes are closer than they are, and as they're pulling up right behind you, I mean, you do start to tense up a little bit, worried that they might run into the back of you unintentionally. But this is important for Henderson, because he is trying to make up times on Granito, who was in P2 prior to all the pit stops, and he is probably still in a net P2. Hermanis has run away with this down the main straight, so Henderson's going to have to find somewhere else on this next lap to hopefully get past Hermanis, but this got to feel good for Hermanis, holding Henderson back this way. He's had some great battles with some pro drivers today, which is always exciting, I think.
Yeah, super exciting, Dan. I mean, it's always fun when you get to race other drivers, no matter what class it is. You know, Hermanis is here to compete for an overall spot as well. He might have the Pro-Am win in the bag, but he's currently holding on to 7th spot. Now he's going to drop a bunch once he pits, because we did see that unfortunate time in the race there where he had to pull over and come to a complete stop due to an unknown issue. But just quickly back to you talking about the mirrors and drivers filling them up and looking like they're a lot closer than they are. A pro tip out there for anybody listening who takes part in sim racing. One of the things that I changed more recently is I went actually to a bit of a narrower field of view in my rear view camera, so not so wide. Now, granted, that is going to cut down how much I can see of the car in my rear view mirror on either side of me. It stresses me out a heck of a lot less, because the cars definitely don't look as close as they do when you run a super wide field of view in your rearview mirror.
Yeah, that's a great tip there, Morgan, for everyone. And you know, I think it's always important to find what's comfortable for you. And if you do get stressed out with seeing those cars in the mirror, that might help a little bit. As we're still following along with Henderson as he looks to try to find something on Hermione's, we see Spencer has pulled into the pit lane. So we'll see where he happens to come out. We have about 6.5 minutes left for drivers to pit. So they have, let's say 3 laps or so before they're going to have to get into the pit lanes. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. It looks like Hermione's is going to go as long as he can and enjoy this fight with Henderson. As we look up and down the grid, I'm not really seeing too many other battles here. So we'll kind of watch and see, is anyone making a mistake here? We've seen a few cards slide and drift and go wide. So how's that going to, come into play here for the rest of the time? Tyler Morgan is now 9 seconds behind Zawadzki. So Zawadzki is running away with this. So he's got to be feeling really good about that. And, yeah, anything you're noticing here? Oh, God, I called you Tyler. Anything you're noticing here, Morgan?
Easy mistake. We share the same name between our first and our last. Nothing stands out, Dan. I mean, yeah, drivers are kind of settled into this race. This is our closest battle on track. That's why our cameraman keeps coming back to it. And as Hermione's getting the friendly flash now from Nate Henderson saying, bro, let me by. Which, you might have another 5 minutes or so of following Archer's here before he has to dive in for his mandatory stop. But yeah, no, looking down the grid, our AM class looks like they're all just kind of plugging away line astern. Zawadzki has a very, very comfortable lead over Tyler Morgan, who made that early pit stop, hoping to do his strategy of just hot lapping, not in traffic, to try to get the victory, but doesn't look like he's going to get it done tonight unless there's a big mistake by Zawadzki or he's tangled up in something else.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And anything is possible in the AM class, as we see Hermione's finally release Henderson as he pulls into the pit lane. But that was a great battle between Hermione's and Henderson there. 2 very evenly matched cars on this track. And Hermione's doing a great job of putting up a fair defense on him. Nothing really being overly aggressive or blocking in any way, but just using that car positioning. Very Spencer Braun-esque of him, the way he held him off. As we look here, Kyle Hirsch is 21.5 seconds behind Neil Kerbel. So I don't think Neil's really feeling too much pressure here. Daniel Hirsch is 4.5 seconds or so, and Gav Cook is 3.5 seconds behind him. So Neil's got to be feeling pretty good about where he's at. Although I'm not sure what this total pit lane distance is. And I got to think Granito's 17 seconds behind him. So Neil's probably still good. But if we're talking 40 seconds, 45 seconds, if Granito can, he's got to pick up the pace if he wants to make it, because Neil's pitting in right now, actually. So we'll see where he comes out. Neil must be listening.
Yeah, Neil dives into the pits. There's only 3 minutes left in our pit window, so we should see these last 4 pro drivers dive in this lap or the next, get that stop completed, so they're not penalized or disqualified from the race. And yeah, I think Neil should probably still come out in the lead. He has been putting in very consistent laps. Granito putting in very similar lap times as well, but I just don't know if it was enough to close down the gap, barring potentially a slow stop from Neil.
Yeah, and I think Granito, from where he qualified to where he finished, he'll be happy overall with that performance in P2. As we see Neil come out, and we'll have to let the timing tables update. We see Daniel Hirsch coming in, and that's going to leave Gav Cook and Kyle Hirsch, who will need to pit in the next, let's say 2 minutes or so before our pit window closes. We have about 7 minutes left in this race here, and I'm interested to know from anyone in chat who's following along, do you have a vote for a driver of the day, a moment of the day, or anything that was particularly exciting to you throughout this race? We would love to hear about it. As we see, Kerbel has come out about 11 seconds ahead of Granito, so he's got a good gap there. I'm not sure that Granito is going to be able to close that level of a gap with how much time is left. And we see Henderson is now 12 seconds behind Granito. So it'll be very interesting to see where he will come out in relationship to Gav Cook and, more importantly, Kyle Hirsch. Kyle Hirsch is 8 seconds behind Gav. Neil is 5 seconds behind him. Granito is 11 seconds behind him. And we got to wait for this timetable to update to see where Henderson is 12 seconds. So Henderson is going to be real close to jumping Hirsch here. Real close.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight. He obviously got Daniel, as we see. Kyle has been putting in some pretty consistent lap times. Very similar to what Nate has been running as well. So, yeah, it'll all depend on who was the most consistent since Nate pitted. I know Kyle did have to deal with a bunch more traffic. Then again, so did Nate, I guess, behind Hermione. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it shakes out as we see Kyle dive into the pits now, as well as Gab Cook, the last two to complete their stops.
Yeah, and it's a great point you make about the traffic, but it would be really interesting. I mean, Henderson was behind Hermione's for quite a while, and that could be the difference here for them, as it's a very quick pit stop for Kyle Hirsch. And let's see where he pulls out. Is he in front of? That's in front of Nate Henderson.
Nate Henderson.
And you think about with how close they are. Nate might be able to get ahead here. It looks we're along with Daniel, but Nate was right there with him. He's still behind him, so he's going off. But it really shows how much Hermione's has been able to cause just some chaos within these standings. If it was one or two corners earlier that Hermione's let him through, or one lap earlier, Henderson would be ahead of Kyle Hirsch. But this is going to be an exciting final 5 minutes here as we follow along with these two drivers who we saw them get a little bit chirpy, get a little bit aggressive with each other's. Some hard DRL elbow out racing. You love to see it. It's exciting for the viewers, but inside those helmets, behind those visors, they are thinking about it. They know who's behind them and who's in front of them, and they want to win. Each one is not going to want the other one get the better of them, especially how this race started. This is going to be exciting, huh, Morgan?
Yeah, it should be a good finish to the race. Those two started with a little bit of bad blood at the beginning of this race. Elbows out, like you said, Dan. Now we're going to have about 3 more laps maybe here before we get the checkered flag. So curious to see how those two shake out, and if they put on a battle right to the very end, or if Kyle can, now that he's completed his stop, can just stretch away there from Nate.
Yeah, and we see it looked like Professor Kronotis was right there on the back of Spencer Braun, so he's going to get a little lesson from the old Department of Defense Spencer Braun, as Kyle is still holding that lead over Henderson. This will be interesting to see how the straight line speed of these cars will come into play. It does not look like Henderson is going to have the gap here through the first turn. I think unless any mistakes happen, his next opportunity is probably after turn 4 down that main straight into turn 5. You want to focus on a clean exit and get good speed, although he's not going to give it up. He's going to position his car down the inside, and he is going to get through on the inside, or is he? Yes, he is. What a battle here. Kyle is not going to be ready to give this up here. We got about 3 more minutes to see if Kyle can make up that time, but that was a nice move by Nate Henderson, and maybe a little bit of a non-traditional part of the track to overtake, but Kyle is right there along the outside. He's going to go a little bit wide, but he's going to slot right behind him. He's going to take that he's going to look to make a move here, whether it's on the inside or the outside. No, he's fallen behind a little bit. Like you said, that Aston Martin has some great straight line speed, and that's going to be a huge advantage for Henderson here in helping defend against these long straights. Although I may have just put my foot in my mouth here, as Kyle is right behind him. I don't think he's going to make a dive on the inside here, but this is where mistakes can happen. You start to push too hard on these lower traction, higher speed turns into lower speed. It's where you're going to lose the car. We've seen a lot of drivers spin here. We saw Gav take a little drift here earlier in the race. So let's see what happens as Kyle is right behind him. You got to love this, huh?
Yeah, this is a fantastic battle between these two, and what an overtake by Nate Henderson there. Stuck it around the inside. Now they were going through all those sections there where inside becomes outside, outside becomes inside. But Nate did make it stick. I wasn't sure if he was going to, because he had another huge moment of wheel spin before he exited out onto that huge long back straight. But just the straight raw power, straight line speed of that Aston Martin, not letting Kyle have a chance back. Now, where the McLaren is going to be strong is through these cornering sequences. Having driven the McLaren, it's where it really excels against some of the other cars in this GT3 class, is its ability to turn and rotate into these corners to make up for maybe it's a little bit of lack of power down the straight. So yeah, this is a great battle. It's not over yet. Kyle staying real close to Nate here with what is, I assume, going to be their final lap. I don't think there will be one more. There might be, actually, because Neil is quite a ways up the track and probably going to cross the line before our time runs out.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they may end up getting one more lap here. We'll have to see if Kyle can close the gap. Just from the way it's looking, Nate has found his pace. He is just in the zone right now, and I think he's going to be very tough to pass. As we kind of work our way down the grid here a little bit more, Daniel Hirsch is a little bits away from this battle in front of him. Gav Cook is not too far behind him, and Professor Chronotis has got ahead of Spencer Braun as he looks to make up the place on Gav Cook now in the final lap and a half of the race. Damian Zawadzki is still leading our pro drivers with Tyler Morgan, he's leading our AM class with Tyler Morgan now 7 seconds behind him. So unless something really crazy happens here, I think Damian Zawadzki will clinch the championship in the AM category. And then we have Hermanis, Tarugo, Alan Leung, and Malott still in the pit. Although it will be interesting to see where exactly they come out in the standings. Because you do get 51 points for... No, that's not right. I'm not sure off the top of my head here, so I'm going to stop talking about math here as we are closing out this race here. Neil Kerbel is on his final lap here, which means a lot of our drivers are on their final lap. Kyle Hirsch is down to a 10th behind Nate Henderson, so he is right behind him. Now back up to half a second, but, you got to ask yourself, is Kyle going to make that move here at some point and throw it down on the inside or make something try to happen with Henderson? Will be interesting to see, but I think Granito's got to be feeling great about where he's at, and this is going to be the best opportunity here for Kyle. Nate is going to get a bit defensive with him. He's going to move to that inside to hold the inside, but Kyle may have enough he may have enough speed to get through. He is getting close to alongside the wheel, but he's going to back out a little bit as they're going to kind of go side by side, and he just doesn't have it.
Yeah, real hard spot. So it's a great long straight to take a slipstream. The problem is you don't really fire into a heavy braking zone. You basically have a very light lift and coast, maybe a drag of the brakes through that right hand kink as Neil crosses the line to take another victory in DRL. Congratulations, Neil, on another smooth cruise to victory.
Yeah, absolutely. The great and powerful Neil Kerbel. And with that, I gotta think he's pretty much all but clenched a title in the pro class. As we see, it's going to come down to a drag race to the finish line, and Henderson will finish 3/10 ahead of Kyle Hirsch. What a battle. Followed by Daniel Hirsch, then Gavin Cook, then Professor Chronotis, followed by Spencer Braun next. You know, Morgan, this might be one of the few races where we actually get the checkered flag in order of all the drivers, huh? Spencer Braun, Damian Zawadzki will be the next to finish here, followed by Tyler Morgan, who's cut that down to 5 seconds, but unfortunately for him, it's not going to be enough. So congratulations to Damian Zawadzki. This seems to all but clench the title here in the AM category, as I thought he lost control to go into that wall a little bit early, but nope, he's just a little tease there. Tyler Morgan's going to finish. Hermanis is going to finish with a big victory. Congratulations, Arturas Hermanis. What a battle out there for you in the Pro-Am class. You got to love it. We'll hope to see a Shui video for you in the Discord channel. So if you want to see Arturas Hermanis Shui video, join our Discord. We'd love to have you come hang out with us there and see all the behind the scenes action as we ride along with Tarugo, who is going to be our next AM driver to finish and hold a podium position again for Tarugo here in 3rd place. And then rounding out the grid behind Tarugo will be Alan Leung, who I think has to be a little bit disappointed with where he's finished up. Someone who had a big opportunity here to contend for a title still, but all in all, as a 2-time champion here in DRL, he's probably not losing too much sleep over it as we finish the race. So congratulations to Neil Kerbal, our pro winner, Arturas Hermanis, who wins in the Pro-Am category, and Damian Zawatsky, who wins in our amateur class. What a race tonight, huh, Morgan?
Yeah, fantastic battles out on track there. We saw obviously some really close racing between Kyle and Nathan the whole race long, despite them being a little offset on their strategies. And again, exciting battle in our AM class as we're once again there suspended in our seats halfway through the race, trying to figure out who's coming out where with the split strategy between Tyler and Damien. So yeah, congratulations to our class winners tonight in the race with Neil, Arturas Hermanis, and Damian Zawatsky, along with a couple that we believe have clinched the overall, and maybe, well, definitely, maybe not Pro-Am. Pro-Am might still be up for grabs at the last race. We'll have to wait and see, but I think Neil has taken the overall victory in DRL for Season 7 alongside Damian Zawatsky in the AM class. We will be back in a few moments to see if we have any drivers ready for an interview. Stand by and let's see if we have anybody available and what they've got to say. All right, we are back. We've got our race highlights up on stream. And Dan, who do we have ready for an interview?
You know, we got a few drivers in there, but I think we should start with who we believe has clinched the AM championship, Damian Zawatsky. Let's get Damian in here. Damian, what a race tonight, and congratulations on what we are told is a championship in the AM class. How are you feeling tonight?
Thank you. I'm feeling really good. It was a tough fight all season, but happy it turned out this way.
So were you aware of how close this battle was going into the race tonight?
I was, yes. Did a couple extra nights of practice this week to prepare, and I think it paid off tonight.
Well, you could absolutely tell that you put in the time, and I wasn't sure if you put in extra practice over the week or if you were just really familiar with this track, but you just struck fear into your opponent's hearts and crushed any confidence you had, because I got a DM right before this race started that said, I think Zawatsky's got this in the bag tonight. So that's always got to feel good, but what a victory tonight for you here in the AM class and an overall great race. Saw a few crazy moments for you all in all, but what stood out for you throughout this race? Any particular moments?
Definitely the fight with Gav Cook at the beginning. I didn't know how that was going to turn out. You know, definitely nerve-wracking knowing that if I do crash, you know, it could be a mistake. So I definitely stood out at the beginning, but we kept it clean and kept it racing.
Yeah, we're
Absolutely.
watching
Morgan,
that on screen right now, Damien. You had that battle with Spencer Braun there in the number 7 Porsche. That was an exciting one that we watched on stream as well, live while we were racing, and exactly what Dan and I were talking about was how much risk do you put into that battle. We saw at one point he did get by. I'm not sure if you let him by or he made the overtake, but probably in hindsight, best for your championship. Again, another solid drive from you tonight. This at Paul Ricard here, you really showed your consistency. You was watching your lap times, and you're pretty much doing the same lap after lap for the entire 45 minutes. So congratulations, great racing, and great racing all season, and enjoy the overall victory.
Thanks. Thank you guys, and thank you for hosting once again. Thank you for everybody in the AM class. It's been great, but we've got one more race left, and let's enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job tonight, Damien. And I guess I'll just let you go with this. You know, you are a DRL champion, so enjoy your evening and enjoy the sweet taste of victory. You have a great night, Damien.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
All right. I think next we should bring in the driver who he has battled with all season, our DGen of the day in the AM class, the one, the only, Tyler Morgan. Tyler, how you feeling after this race tonight?
Pretty devastated, to be honest with you. It's pretty somber knowing that this championship is over. I had many opportunities to get it back, both Imola and Misano, but I drive through and crashed with Gav respectively in each of those races. Kind of set the tone for the championship season. Zawadzki took advantage of it. And I couldn't bang the laps at the end when I needed to the most to catch him.
Yeah, you know, in hindsight, it's always 2020, and we talked about the potential, you know, problems from Imola and how that could affect you. But, you know, during the race tonight, we saw Zawadzki was battling close with Spencer Braun, and you were right there in the mix, and it looked like you were going to try to sneak through, and you know, it was a great opportunity for you. And then you decided to make the early pit stop. What was the thoughts there?
My thoughts there were get clean air and like put the onus more on me than anything else, because I didn't want to risk contact with Braun, who's 2 classes above me. And yes, him and Zawadzki are battling, and Arthur's eventually got into that battle as well. It was just definitely a thought of get clear air and then see what occurs, and hope and kind of pray that Braun and Hermani slow Zawadzki enough down in their battles that I can make up some ground. But by the time Zawadzki did it, he was like 10 seconds ahead of me still. I'm like, what? Like, it's just unfortunate that sometimes that plan works, sometimes it doesn't, and I used the strategy that I won the championship last season on today, and didn't work, and well, that's sometimes racing.
Well, Tyler, nothing to be disappointed with, my friend. You still won 3 in a row starting at round 4, 5, and 6. So you definitely should be proud of the way you drove the season. Some great victories. If you look back on the season, is there anything you would pinpoint that any of the races that you wish had gone better, wish you'd done differently? Just taking a look at your results for the season, I see you missed round 2 as well. I'm not sure if that was planned or what, but any regrets in missing round 2 of the season?
No. That one kind of was already like an impromptu plan. One, I don't really like Coda, and 2, I had personal reasons for missing that. So that was kind of like, did I really want to miss round 2? No, but like it was a necessary evil in my mind. So I'm like, okay, so I'll just make it up in the other rounds. And like, yes, Misano to start with the drive-through when I was battling Zawadzki for the lead definitely, I guess, set the tone for how the beginning of the season would be, and that's kind of what happened last season as well with Jay. is that Jake got out to an early lead because I struggled, but then mid-season I found my form and he got unlucky in a few races, which allowed me to pass by him in the middle of the season. And then obviously round 7 at the Nürburgring GP circuit, we all know how that went. So I guess I'm gonna have to look back on Misano and Imola and just shrug my shoulders because their races are done. So not much I can do to change the results, but you can only do what you can do on the track on the race that you're driving. And credit to Damien, he was fast on this track and he was fast where he needed to be.
Yeah, it was it was a great race for you tonight. It was a great qualifying session as well from where you were in practice. I think all in all, it's been a great season for you, especially if you take a look back to, when you started just a few seasons ago and the progress that you've made. But it's been a great title defense this year. You can't win every season, but you were a very honorable champion, holding out your battles week after week and doing the best you can out there. So no reason to hang your head. You can hold your head up high and look to make a comeback next season and regain that title back again.
Just means no trophy celebration video this year. I'm gonna have to find a way to mail that to Damien then.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Tyler. I'll move you back over, but you have a great night, and we look forward to seeing what you can put up next week.
All right, see you guys around.
All right, let's get Mr. Kyle Hirsch in here next and talk about that battle and the race as a whole.
Yes, please.
Kyle, welcome to the stream. What an eventful night for you. How you feeling right now?
Relieved that it's over.
Do you need a shower?
Very much so. I smell really bad.
What a battle.
And my my underpants are definitely soiled.
Well, yeah, as Morgan was saying, what absolute battle out there. We caught a little bit of it in the beginning. Definitely some hard elbows out racing with you and Henderson. Did you take any damage early on?
I think I took a little bit, but honestly, I didn't look. I didn't want to look.
Not enough that affected your race?
I might have had some, but I never looked because I didn't want it to really affect, the flow I had going. So I didn't want to be going into the corner after the straight thinking, I got damage. I wonder if it sticks.
Yeah, I guess from a mental standpoint, that's probably the best decision. And then coming out the pit lanes, I mean, you came out and he was like right behind you. What's going through your mind at that point?
I was so happy he was there because that meant I didn't ruin his race completely.
Oh, what a guy!
I saw that and I was scared to fight him for the first lap, and then he got past me and I was like, okay, that means slate's clean. I can go hard at him again.
Yeah, there you go. And it was an exciting battle all the way to the finish there in those last couple laps. And I thought it was quite the opportunistic move by him where he overtook you too. It looked like you went just a little bit wide going into that turn, and he just threw it down the inside and took it. And the Aston Martin's hard to catch with that fast straight line speed that it has, but you stuck alongside him the whole time, and I think maybe 1 or 2 more laps you might have been able to make that up, but I guess that's racing for you, huh?
Oh yeah, just ran out of time. I thought I was gonna get in that lap, but I think I had screwed up that fast right, and I lost a lot of momentum for that. But I figured I'll try to dummy him into a mistake on the final corner, and it worked. I just couldn't get the power down.
Yeah, and it was interesting looking at this race as a whole because Hermani's in the Pro-Am. He held him up for quite a few laps that Henderson could not get past Hermani's. And, we were really talking about as soon as you came out ahead of the pits, how Hermani's could have kind of been the factor there in what held him up. Because Morgan, it must have been 3 or 4 laps at least that Hermani's had him right behind him and he just could not get past.
Yeah, it definitely looked like some frustration from Henderson there. I mean, yeah, getting trapped behind a driver is never fun, but that's some of the risk you take when you go for that early stop strategy.
Yeah, and we heard it in Discord too.
Which, for Hermione's, it was a lonely race as the only pro-am. And you know what? Racers are going to race, right? That's what we do out here. And no one shies away from a battle unless from a strategic standpoint, it makes sense to not risk it. And so it was a great defense by Hermione's out there. And you could tell it was frustrating him. But all in all, I thought it was a great recovery drive for you as, you guys kind of tumbled down the order and you kind of systematically picked off drivers one after another. End up getting past your brother again as well, which, I think you got to find the little victories there. But I'm sure it's a little bit disappointing to finish 0.3 behind the driver who you are, racing hard throughout the last 45 minutes.
To be honest, I look at it as improvement. Like, I've been practicing with Henderson most of the week, and I was never able to touch him. So the fact that I was that close to him, I was feeling pretty good. But yeah, I wanted to beat him so bad in those last few laps. But
it was a
crazy.
great race all in all. Nothing to hold your head down on, and you had some great pace here. And what is a sneaky, difficult track? A lot of spots that you can lose traction or push a little too hard. So, great race for you all in all tonight. Highly enjoyable, and look forward to watching you close off the season next week.
Yeah, thanks, fellas. Thank you guys for doing the stream, and thanks for doing all the commentary. You guys are doing a great job.
Awesome.
Thanks, Kyle.
Well, thank you, Kyle. We appreciate that. Have a great night.
You too.
All right, and our last driver in the green room is going to be Mr. Tarugo himself. Let's pull him in. Tarugo, welcome to the stream. How you feeling after that race?
Doing all right. Trying to figure out why I felt like the car was so slow for me. I think I might have picked. I picked a different setup for this, and I was experimenting to see how it would plan out. And yeah, I don't want to do this one again. But it just felt like I was doing 158s, and I felt like I was pretty consistent. The laps were clean. I just couldn't get it to go faster, and it felt maybe it was slow on the straights. I got to take a look at the footage, see what happened.
Yeah, Morgan, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I do think the Porsche, relative to a few of the other cars, is a little bit slower down those main straights.
Yeah, it's going to have a little less power, especially down the long straight, but it really will depend mostly on the setup you're running. So if you're running something accidentally, maybe with too much of a wing, that's gonna hurt you at a track like Paul Ricard, where you do need the grip for the kind of the sector 3 and the start of sector 1, but you don't want a lot of downforce for those straights.
Yeah, I could tell. Honestly, I could tell that I had a lot of grip in those sector 1 and sector 3, but it was just slow. It connected really nice. It was hooking up together really nicely. But I think I was just checking. I think I might have been 9 in wing. I feel like I had a lot. I should have. And I was talking to Kyle Hirsch, and he was saying that he was running like 3 or 4. So I definitely lost a bit on the straights. But part of the process, just learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is such a tricky track for the setups. We talked a little bit about it on the stream, but it's very much the tale of two different sections of the track, right? You got these long straights that you're working through, and then you got these slow, windy turns through the final sector of the track. So it can be a little difficult finding that balance between not losing the straight line speed, but also holding enough grip to work your way through those final few turns, which is a part of the track that doesn't have a lot of traction anyways. But I thought it was a great race for you tonight. You worked your way through and were able to hold on to another podium finish tonight. So I got to feel like you're pretty happy with the results all in all.
Yeah, definitely. Podium is always really nice to get. But just still grinding. Congrats to Damien. Damien had a great season. Had a couple battles with him this season, and props to him. Cheers.
Yeah, I know Damien's got to be real excited with his victory, but this is really big for you as you and Leung battle for the third place spot in the championship, and depending on how things play out for Tyler, you may be able to even find yourself sneaking into a second place position if anything ends up happening to him. So a lot of opportunity still in the last race. While first place might be set in stone, certainly not for a lot of the other places here. So real excited to see what's going to come for the final race of the season next week.
Cool. Yeah, me too. It's going to be a great race. I'm hearing rumors of it being in the rain.
I don't think we're gonna punish you guys with the rain at Nords, but grip level might not be at optimal. We'll just say that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Appreciate the
keep
heads
Morgan happy, or it might end up at night and in the rain.
Yeah.
Let's torture, but let's do it.
Well, Tarugo, thank you so much for stopping in. What a race tonight. We really enjoyed watching along with you, and looking forward to see how the season finishes out for you next week.
Thanks, guys, and hopefully I'll see you next week.
Awesome.
Thanks, Rugo.
Well, what a night, Morgan. I think a lot of action out on the track, a lot of exciting battles, whether it was watching Hermione's, whether it was following along with Tyler, and of course, we can't forget Kyle Hirsch and Nate Henderson with their incredible battle. But up and down the grid, we saw a lot of moments and opportunities, and this is definitely one for the books. And I cannot wait to see what next week has in store for us.
Yeah, it's always going to be fun to finish it off at the full Nords layout. I'm hoping that this being our final race this season, I know some of the championships are sewn up, but that we get a good turnout, good strong showing of our drivers. So if you're part of DRL and you've driven with us this season, and this is our calling to have you show up for the final race. Let's get a full grid, and let's have some fun at the Nords.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone who's joined along with us in the stream. We love having you all here and hanging out with us. It makes it so much better. And can't wait for next week to close off the season. Should be a fun night. Please come hang out with us. Bring some friends. We love to celebrate for the last night of this season.
That's right. Well, thanks everybody for watching and tuning in, and we will catch you next week for Nord's 24-hour layout. Have a good night.